All right, here we go. We're going to dive right back into it. White House spokesperson John Kirby, who just said climate change is more dangerous than war in the Middle East. What an imbecile. Has at least condemned Iran for being complicit in the Hamas attacks on Israel, not because of specific evidence, but because of the two's partnership in the past. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Charles Brown, has warned Iran not to get involved in the conflict, saying, quote, "We do not want this to broaden, and the idea is for Iran to get that message loud and clear." Former Gulf War Division Commander Barry McCaffrey has this somber prediction if Iran were to enter this war. Listen.
That if the existence of the state of Israel is at stake, if the Syrian military intervened, if Hezbollah started overwhelming the Israelis, in my judgment, at that point, we would consider actively intervening with air power, air and naval power.
Here's the problem, though. Iran has already been actively involved. We know that now. The reports are coming out, and they were clear anyway. We knew this. Joining me is Pete Hoekstra, former 9-time member of Congress from Michigan, former House Intelligence Committee chair and ambassador to the Netherlands. Pete, good to see you again. Thank you.
Good to be with you, Steve.
But for him to sit there and say, well, you know, if Iran gets involved, Iran has been involved with Hamas every step of the way. Same with Hezbollah, which is now firing rockets from the north into Israel from Lebanon. I mean, this war is already widening, is it not? I mean, that's just foolish to say Iran's not involved right now, isn't it?
It's foolish to even imply that Iran may only have been involved in the short term. Iran has been an existential threat to the United States over the last 40 years. How can we forget the Iranian-backed bombing of our military barracks in Lebanon, Beirut, 230 Americans killed? How can we ignore Iran's involvement in the civil war in Yemen in the recent years? How about their involvement in Brazil, throughout Central America, attacks into the United States? I mean, the list goes on and on. And like we talked about the other day, this latest episode starts in Gaza. It has to end in Tehran. The only question will be, how many intermediate stops are we going to have to go through before we finally realize the real threat is Tehran, and we stop fighting, we just localize these conflicts to Gaza, to Lebanon, to Yemen, or as they now help Russia in Ukraine. It is, they are a real threat, and it comes from Tehran.
So here's the question, Pete. How far are we willing to go? We have no leadership in Washington. Joe Biden finally came out. He gave a forceful, comment about being with Israel, standing with Israel, that Hamas has violated every code of human morality and all of that. But it's late. He commented for 2 minutes on Saturday, had a barbecue at the White House on Sunday while children were being mutilated and women were being raped and bodies were being burned in the streets and people were still alive being burned in the streets, and he was having a damn barbecue at the White House. I'm as angry as I have ever been at the failure of leadership of this administration or any administration in my lifetime. I'm as angry today as I was on 9/11. Just because of the horrendous things we're seeing. Go ahead.
You say, what do we do? Well, remember, for the last 11 years, or 11 out of the last 14 years, we have been coddling Iran. Just think, if the day one of the Obama administration, if we had put in sanctions against Iran, gone after their oil industry, like we did during the Trump administration. We cut their oil revenue. I believe the number is down to $6 billion per year. Now it's back up into the neighborhood of $50 to $60 billion a year, enriching the Iranian coffers. For what? Are they using it for humanitarian purposes? Are they using it to develop and strengthen their economy? No, they are using it to foment, war around the world. And we have been complicit as a country through the Obama and Biden administrations for 11 out of the last 14 years, enriching Iran to continue these endeavors, whether it's Israel, Russia, and other places in the world. And
it has to end. It has to end now.
But
yeah, it has to end. So let me ask you this real quickly. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the most sophisticated warship ever put to sea, from what I can tell, is now cruising fast towards the eastern end of the Mediterranean. You've got the boomers out there, the Ohio-class nuclear submarines, including the USS Michigan and the USS Ohio. 28 tubes. They can hold real weapons, Tomahawk cruise missiles, nuclear warheads. How close are we, Pete? How close?
I think you're still a ways away, but what we need to do is, I think Israel has to be prepared for two conflicts. Number one, they've got to be prepared to go into Gaza and get into street-to-street urban fighting, which is going to be very, very messy. It's going to be dangerous. Lots of people are going to lose their lives. America needs to stand with Israel as they go through those activities. And then either the U.S. or Israel need to maybe be prepared to follow through on what Lindsay just said. Start taking out facilities in Iran if
that's what I would
this
do.
Escalates. And we need to go back.
Look, Iran paid for it. Iran prepared it. Iran is complicit. Iran is a partner. This is a part and parcel partnership with Iran. We have to do something about it. Pete, I got to leave it there. But we'll have you back. Obviously, this war is going to go on for some period of time, because before Gaza gets turned into a parking lot, which they're working on, a lot of other things are going to happen as well. Thank you, Pete.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve.
Really appreciate it. After the break, the Israeli crisis is Trump's fault, according to the never Trumpers and the Trump haters, of course. We'll look at the big picture next on AVL.